Okay, so what we're going to be looking at today is source analysis and reasons for going on a crusade. So our learning objectives are to be able to read and analyse a source, and everyone should be able to do this, to consider different reasons as to why people might choose to go on a crusade, and decide which reason you think was the most popular, and that's if you're really pushing yourself today. Now, why did people go on these crusades? Last time we looked at the fact that after the death of William the Conqueror, we saw a period called the Crusading period, which is when Christians went to try and retake Jerusalem. And we looked at why was Jerusalem so important to them and why was it important to other religions. And then we looked at the fact Jerusalem was in the hands of the Turkish Muslims. And we thought about, well, what happened while we looked at what happened in we'd already looked at what happened in Britain at this time. What had been going on at the same time? So these two cultures at the same time for Muslims. So these two cultures were meeting, and for Christians, it was often seen as a dark age. We looked at maybe how it was quite unpleasant, quite basic, but for the Muslim world, it was going through a real golden age. So these two cultures were meeting in Jerusalem. And what we're thinking about now is why was it Christians wanted to go to Jerusalem to retake it? Now, most people who wanted to go, they wanted to go because they believed Jerusalem should belong to them. They also believed, as Christians, God would forgive them for any bad things they'd done in the past, like stealing something or killing someone. So they believed if they went on crusades and fought for God, what they saw as God's holy land, they would be forgiven for their sins. A few people went because they thought they could get rich by taking over land and trade. Okay, now if we look at, here's some primary sources, and we're going to look at one primary source in our next task. But one of the things we've got Abbot Martin. Abbot is the head of a monastery, so he's a monk, he's a Christian religious man. And he says, the land for which you are making is richer by far than this one and more fertile. So that he's saying, well, when you go over to Jerusalem, there's far more money there and it's more fertile, means it's easier to grow things. And growing things was really important, being able to grow your own food, because it wasn't an Albert or a Coughlin or an Iceland to go to. So he's really selling this to people. He's not, despite being a man of God, being a religious man, he's not talking about religion. He's talking about the fact that you can go there and you can get rich and get better lands. Now, the next source is from Anna Karenina, who was the daughter of the Byzantine emperor. Before the Arab Muslims took over Jerusalem in the 600s, 700s, the Byzantine Empire, which is would say today was based mostly in modern day Turkey, but they also had used to control Jerusalem. And the Crusaders would have passed through this area on their way to Jerusalem. And she says about the Europeans, their whole race is very fond of money. So when she's thinking about why are they doing this, why are they trying to get Jerusalem back for us, she's saying, well, they're all very fond of money. And that she would have been a Christian as well as the daughter of the Byzantine emperor. So doesn't think much of the European Christians here. She thinks they're all in this for the money. And then the last one is a letter written by a Christian saint, Bernard of Clairvaux. So he says, O mighty soldier, you now have a cause for which you can fight without endangering your soul. So that means you can now fight this battle without risking going to hell for doing bad things. Because fighting for a Christian was maybe not a good thing to do, but he's saying now it's okay, you can fight and it will be fine. God will think it's good. God will support you, and you won't risk going to hell for anything bad you do. And he says, a cause in which to win is glorious, and for which to die is gain. So he's saying, if you win, it'll be fantastic. You'll have all this glory. You might be famous. But if you die, it's still okay. You're going to get something. And what he means by that is you're going to get into heaven. Okay, you're going to go to be with God if you die as a Christian. And he says, take the sign of the cross. So taking the cross was, when you went on the crusade, you often called it taking the cross because you'd be given a uniform to wear with a cross on it. So you were seen as fighting for God because you would have that sign of the cross that you would be wearing. And he says, at once you will have forgiveness for all your sins. So it won't just be it'll be okay, you'll be forgiven for anything bad you do in crusade, but anything bad you've done in your whole life. So maybe that time, you hurt someone, you killed someone, God will forgive you if you go and fight in these crusades. Now, to start off, what you're going to do is you're going to have a table like this in your book, Religion, Money, Power, and you're going to have this picture here with this list of 7 reasons. And what you have to do for each reason, you have to say, is this to do with religion? And if it's to do with religion, you put it there. Or is it to do with money? Or is it to do with power? And you're going to type it in the correct column as a bullet points.